Aditi. Nice to see you again.
Nice to see you.
How are you doing?
Good, great.
Yeah?
Thank
Going
you.
well. Day is going well?
Yes, fantastic.
Okay, good. Well, thank you for coming to see me for the next about 30 to 40 minutes. And purpose of the meeting today is to go over your individual IDI profile. And you remember we met about a week ago in a group with your colleagues.
Yes,
yeah?
I do remember.
How was that
Absolutely.
experience for you?
Fantastic.
Yeah?
Fantastic, but also eye-opening too.
Yeah, very good. Yeah, I thought you were very interested and engaged.
Yes,
so today we get to delve into your individual report. So
I'm so looking forward to that.
Good. So just so that you hear from me again, this conversation is confidential, meaning that what you share with me today is just between you and me. And I won't be sharing your profile with your colleagues or HR, your supervisor. So this is just purely for your learning. Do you have any question about that?
No, so far so good. Thank you.
Okay, good. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at your individual profile report and try to learn what information I can give you that might be useful.
Good.
Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
I want to learn.
All right. Shall we go right into it?
Mm-hmm.
So in a group session, we talked about this framework, IDC, Intercultural Development Continuum. Do you have a pretty good grasp on that?
Yeah, I remember it.
Yeah, you remember?
Yes.
We talked about, 5 orientations along the continuum. Yeah?
Yes,
You have a
yes.
pretty good understanding.
Yes.
Okay, good. All right. So let's take a look at these graphs in here that give you sort of the key information about the IDI results. And the first graph right here is called perceived orientation, sort of looking similar to the group profile we looked at, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So your perceived orientation, or PO, is indicating that your PO is within a range of adaptation. Mm. And if you remember, adaptation is where you are trying to shift perspectives and trying to adapt your behaviors to meet the needs of the cultural environment, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when you look at development orientation, or DO, IDI indicates that it's also within a range of adaptation.
Mm-hmm.
Any thoughts on that?
No.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, because your PO and DO are both within a range of adaptation. Let's take a look at what adaptation can look like, right,
mm-hmm.
in your experience. Because here we have 7 sort of common characteristics of adaptation. So I'm going to sort of go through a few of them to see which one might resonate with you. Mm-hmm. Is that okay?
Mm-hmm.
So adaptation orientation, for example, can bring you a deep understanding of at least one other cultural group. So in other words, you have probably multiple cultural experiences or backgrounds, right? Or you can use a broad repertoire of practices to intentionally match those of other cultural groups.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, okay. And you may be sometimes impatient or frustrated when other people do not perceive cultural differences as deeply as you do. You're thinking about it, all right? Okay. So another characteristic could be that you are capable of acting as a cultural mediator or a cultural bridge between 2 or more diverse groups.
Yeah.
Any of those resonate with you?
Yeah, the last 2 ones are like laser beam.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, totally.
Okay. So let's see. This one also may be an interesting one for you. So you may be capable of making ethical or moral judgments by considering one's own moral views and the moral views of the other culture. Mm-hmm. Does that resonate with you at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That too. Yeah.
Okay. So these are the kinds of experiences that people in adaptation tend to have. And now what we want to do is we want to see how these characteristics may show up in your own context, in your own experiences, right? So that you can make sense of this profile in your own terms. Yeah?
Yeah, okay.
And then just to talk about that, I just wanted to mention to you also about this thing called orientation gap. Because on this page, see, it's showing what's called orientation gap. And in your profile, the orientation gap is of 3.22, which means that you do have a gap between PO and DO, but the gap is relatively small. So what that means is that you have this aspirational view of how you want to operate yourself or how you want to bridge between different cultures. But then when it comes to actual practice, well, you know, it's not that everything you do goes perfectly, but most of the time you are sort of functioning as you are hoping to function in a culturally diverse situations. Yeah. So that's what relatively small gap means. I mean, on the other hand, if you had a larger gap that is more significant and meaningful, then you may be a little bit surprised by how you intend to maybe bridge between the cultures, but things don't necessarily go the way you intended. Or maybe others may see you as being not so effective or as effective as you hoped. But in your case, the gap is relatively small, meaning that you are fairly well operating the way you are intending to operate, meaning to bridge between cultures.
Yeah.
That's what the orientation gap means.
Yeah.
Do you have any question about that?
No, it makes, that's how I work.
Okay,
Yeah.
Okay, so you resonate with that.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. To help you make connections between this information and your own experience.
Now that you went to the point, yes, there was something that you mentioned about mediator, and that's something that brought back a situation that I had. Yes, yes.
Being a cultural mediator?
Yes, because I've always seen myself working that way in the university that I am. We have to advise the students about their thesis, how they present the questions for the investigation. It's a prestigious institution, so we have very rigorous ethical protocols for all the work. So I've always been, my team has always been helping students navigate that. And this is an international institution. So, but when you mentioned that, I had an incident with my team fairly recently that I am still struggling, and so I hope this can help me manage that.
Okay. Well, you want to tell me a little bit about the situation that you're referring to, because that may be a good one to think about in terms of making sense of this profile in your own work context.
By all means, if you can help me make sense, because that's bugging me for a while. So this is a meeting that we have on a regular basis with the 10 members of my team in terms of how we're advising students and our clients. And there were 3 members of my team, one from China, another one Malaysia, and one from Spanish, that they were not getting along working with each other. One was overcrossing the other one. The discussions were like beyond any emotional parameters, like it was getting really heated, and we were not meeting, the goals that I wanted for the team to work cohesively. And I tried to work with them, I tried to mediate, and it went nowhere, to the point that I had to remove them from the team, find them another department where to go, because we couldn't work. And this has never happened to me, and I know that, and I was making suggestions, but they don't get it, and so it's like, you don't work, you go.
Okay. So you tried a few different strategies to negotiate between them, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, and I don't know why. Yeah, I'm intrigued by that.
Well, let me share with you something about adaptation characteristic that maybe I didn't use the word, but people in adaptation orientation can experience certain level of frustration too when they try to navigate through cultural diversity, and also especially when they try to help others bridge across cultures. Because let's see, where did I read that? I think we had one right here too. You can be impatient or frustrated when other people do not perceive cultural differences as deeply as you do.
Oh, yeah.
See, so you're trying to operate within adaptation, and you are operating within the range of adaptation, meaning you are, you know, fairly constantly trying to take different perspectives, right? Shift perspectives, as well as adapting your own behavior to other cultural needs,
All
right?
the time.
Yeah, so you are doing that constantly, and you are even trying to help others do that. However, though, if you think about, you know, everybody else's profiles, you are working with others who may have very, very different kinds of profiles.
Oh.
Right? So your colleagues or your students' development orientation may be to the left of you on the continuum. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
That can create some frustration, couldn't it?
That resonates incredibly. Because I am not a person that is short-fused, but it's driving me crazy why they don't get it.
Right.
And that is a slow in productivity. And if we want to be competitive and the century, that's where you want to go. So, wow.
Yeah, yeah, I see your eyes lit up. It's making sense, isn't
That's
it?
a big aha for me right now.
Okay, good.
So how can you help me? How do I?
Yeah. Well, let me ask you, because this is your work. So now that you have this information and this aha you're talking about, hey, that's why it was so frustrating, right? What are the goals that you may have around that, so that you can work more effectively and you can help others more effectively as well?
The first thing that comes to mind is I want to be everybody in my team globally effective, regardless of who they're working with. If it's, you know, a student from Guatemala or a student from Germany, but within ourselves as colleagues. You know, if we have, you know, 100 dissertations that we're working and we can do that in shorter amount of time, that means that there's more research that is going to be helping, you know, causes, institutions, organizations. That work is critical and fundamental. So I think the first objective that I can think of is, how can I bring my team members where I am?
Okay. So you want to see...
Can you imagine that team? I mean, we will rock the entire university.
Yeah, yeah.
I want that.
Okay. So you want to see, first, your team be more, you know, culturally effective around cultural differences.
Because those 3 people that we lost, they are the experts in their field.
I see. Okay.
And so I don't have that wisdom for any students that are coming with projects that are directly in that field.
Yeah.
I want to get them back. So how? Yeah.
I see. So what I'm understanding is you have a very multicultural, diverse team, and probably new members coming in as well from various countries, even around the world, and with different expertise areas.
Yes.
So you want to make sure that the team, this diverse team, functions well with each other, so that their expertise can be utilized within the
But
work.
also, I want other talent that could be, I don't know where in the world, to know that they are really welcome value. You know, I want to tap into people that other universities couldn't and bring them here to do the work that we do, because we do it like nobody else. So, but if they have the experience like these 3 people had, like, they may not want to come. But so I want, you know, I want that fast track to bring the brightest and the best.
Great. So you want to have the team that's, you know, culturally effective already, but also a workplace where you attract really skilled, talented people from around the world. Okay. So, I mean, I'm skipping ahead a little bit, but you will be in the next session working with another document called IDP, Intercultural Development Plan, which helps you really design your own continued learning and development process. So something like that could be a wonderful goal setting that you can do using that document in the coming sessions too. As I already mentioned, the IDP, Intercultural Development Plan, will help you sort of take those steps into developing, more concrete, cultural goals and how you might go about achieving those goals. So those are the kinds of things that you can begin to think about between now and the next session. What do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm game. Yes, that's cool.
Yeah?
Let's do it.
Okay, great. So I would recommend that you take a look at this document. This is your copy, so take a look at it and see, what goals you may set, when we meet next time with your IDP. Okay. And then we can continue and design your own development so that you can contribute in a more effective way for your team and attract more talents, right?
That would be great. Thank you. I'm really looking forward to that.
Great. Any questions before I let you go?
When is the next meeting?
I believe it's in 3 weeks. Yeah, okay. You'll see me again.
Okay.
Right.
Good.
Cool. Thank you so much for your time, Aditi.
Thank you. Thank you.
See you soon.
A pleasure. See you soon.